Colonel, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, Jason.
Well, the video's out. Everything we've been saying is coming. And
yeah, unfortunately.
Here it is. In just a few days, this thing has obviously gone viral. And I'm talking about the video here with Cartel Jalisco New Generation lined up with a convoy of armored cars, clearly showing quantum leap in capabilities from some of the things seen previously. You know, it's in the drunk uncle welding anymore.
No, and that's, here I am. I'm looking at it again as we're sitting here talking for the umpteenth time. And yeah, this video is by some been categorized as a pony show by this cartel. What this video is a warning. It's a warning of what's coming.
Well, let's dive into that. Tell me, or tell the folks who are not familiar with the military and the capabilities and what you're seeing here, kind of do a walkthrough, if you would, about, what's the problem here?
Well, it's pretty obvious, and you and I have talked about this for years, and when you and I worked this entire environment, there is a growing tendency with these cartels to look more and more militaristic. They want to look like a military unit. They want to act like a military unit. They want to arm themselves like a military unit. Now they want to maneuver themselves like a military unit with these vehicles. The trend with these groups, especially this one, the dominant one, CJNG, is growing so dramatic that what I saw in this video was this group of people and these vehicles are very, very close to being a truly combat capable team.
Yeah.
At first there were some discussions out there about the size of the unit because the numbers were in discrepancy. Then I think your sources found out the true size of this. So this is almost like a robust company size unit. It's not a battalion, not even the Sedina standards. But all of that is a moot point, Jason. What we're looking at is a group of organized individuals who, with a little bit increased training and skill sets, would be highly combat capable. This particular unit that we're looking at in this video that we talked about, all the aspects of it, uniforms, weapons, everything else, if this unit happened to make contact with one of Sedina's patrol to contact units in their infamous pickup trucks, they'd lose.
Well, I think that's a great takeaway here. I mean, we have watched, and you and I have been warning since 2009 to every level of the government that things were changing in Mexico and that these cartels were advancing in quantum leaps and capabilities. And here we are, not looking at first generation armored cars like we were talking about, the old monsters back first generation in 2009. I mean, here,
dump trucks.
Yeah, here we are now, 4 generations in armored car technology within the cartels, daily gun battles at our border, and now this, such uniformity like we've never seen. Never mind the uniforms that we used to talk about. I mean, here they've got unit patches on the arms.
Yes, exactly. And it also appears, as we talked about in your article, it appears we now have team assignments per vehicle. As you notice, as this footage goes down the roadway, you'll see typically groups of 4 next to each vehicle, which I think is noteworthy because that almost indicates almost like a fire team configuration now. And yet you and I have always known, and everybody's always talked about how many members of these organizations, the Zetas were a classic example of prior military individuals. So there is some skill set level that is now transferring from the Mexican military and probably others, including ours. There's a lot of money in the drug world, and you and I both know criminal cases of people with very high skill sets from our country going down there to make money. It's just a fact of life. It's been that way since forever. But this transition to where we're looking at a video where they have lined up a unit in its priority, heavy up front, the uniformity of the Ford Raptors that are in this, they're painted the same, they're equipped the same. These things have come from somewhere. Like you said, they didn't come out of Uncle Joe's drunk welding shop. So they have team assignments per vehicle. It appears they have some level of weaponization, standardization, although it's not truly standardized yet. The 203 seem to be, the 40 millimeter guns seem to be staggered throughout the unit, every third vehicle or some manner of configuration. But it's important to realize these criminals, these terrorists, no longer just look like a bunch of guys that got their hands on some AKs and AKSs.
Right.
This
Absolutely.
is a strive towards a unified, combat-capable unit. This unit truly intends to fight their way through anything they need to fight through, or more importantly, to take and hold anything that they go after. And it's configured that way. They are pushing themselves towards a far more combat-capable organization than they have ever been. And you and I know if Sedina continues to go after these guys in pickup trucks with 5 guys in the back, then you're talking about force parity, and they're going to lose.
Well, let's talk about that because no one knows or monitored the Mexican military the way you did in the prior world, and that's a concern for me, and that's why I really wanted to sit down and talk to you because what we're seeing right here, I mean, in the day-to-day security measures of Sedena, they don't have these capabilities rolling around. Most of them are driving around in a back of a pickup truck.
And have been for almost 15 years.
And this is what they're facing day in, day out. So what's the fix here? Because, just in the last few days, the Mexican government has had to come out and justify this video and say that, this can take down, what our security forces are doing. But you and I both know what Mexico's really been doing. They've not been allowing SAMAR operations to do targeted operations against cartel leadership, which I know that SAMAR can take these groups out hands down. But that unit's not being deployed anymore. That's a problem. And when we see this, what does that mean for security in Mexico?
So let's extrapolate this particular unit in this video. This unit forms up again and actually goes to a tactical target. En route to that tactical target, they come upon one of the typical Sedena patrol-to-contact patrols that go through areas where they think there may be cartel activity. Now, you and I, we both know that those Sedena teams are sent into an area typically after the fact of something that's gone on to try and show people, especially outside of Mexico, hey, we got this. I know there was a problem in this area last night. We're here now. We're setting up patrols. It's all going to be good. And then a couple days later, they pull back and go somewhere else in that area. These guys know this. You know as well as better than I do, Jason. These guys just lay low. If it's hot, they lay low. Let Sedena come in, run around like Calderon had them doing, and then they pull back out and go back to garrison or go do something else, and then they go back to work. More importantly, the people of Mexico know that. They know that this Sedena presence is temporary at best when it comes into their town. But this particular unit is now to the capability set of they can openly push Sedena out of an area. If the Sedena's typical patrols encounter these guys, they're going to have to scream for help. And what help they get depends on what help is capable in the area. Now, are they running quick response forces according to regions that can move in and help these guys out? Don't know. And Northcom would know that. Some other people would know that. But Jason, these guys can go take a target now. They can go take a hard target. You and I were kind of stunned, I guess is the best word I could say, when they had the siege on a city of 800,000 people last year in Mexico.
Yeah.
That's where these guys are heading. If they pick a target, they're going to go to it, and they're going to take it. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, can you imagine that thing being like 2 miles from the river?
Yeah, I can because, just this weekend we had a massive gun battle, and, these things are happening day in, day out in Miguel Alemán, which sits right across from Roma. I think a lot of folks sitting at home are watching this going, yeah, but guys, that's all in Mexico. That's not in the United States. That doesn't affect us here. And the reason I bring that up is because I hear it all the time, right? I'm trying to get the terrorism designation on these cartels because we know that law enforcement cannot take this on. We've tried this approach for 50 years. We're not doing anything different. And I have said countlessly that if we don't change the game and bring tools and national power to the table, that we're never going to get a hold of this thing and get ahead of it. Now look at where we are. This one cartel is operating in over 48 countries around the world. They have over 5,000 operatives, and their estimated worth is $50 billion. So what have we done in the Department of Justice? We've thrown the entire book at them. That means reward for justice for El Mencho, $10 million he's wanted right now, have had zero effect. His daughter and his son, both arrested. Son was extradited into the United States just in the last few months. Operation Python domestically took place. We arrested over 600 of these operatives operating throughout the United States within a 6-month period. And then follow up, I think we're now at around 700. And not only that, we seized $1.1 billion in assets. And yet 2 days ago, this is what comes out. While the American people are being told that we're effective, we're taking down tons of drugs, we're doing this, and it's a clear sign that everything we're doing isn't working. Am I wrong on that?
We're winning in the courtroom. We're not winning on the battlefield.
Exactly.
And that equates into you can win the battle and lose the war. Years ago when this Nancy Reagan's say no to drugs, and we never looked at this problem as if we were at war. You've talked to these guys. You know what their opinion is. They're at war. Now, they're at war with each other, but they're at war with anybody that challenges them.
Oh, I'll tell you a great story. I'm so glad you brought that up. So last November, Larry Logan and I went down to the border, and she got to talk to two halcones for the Gulf Cartel. And I'll never forget it. The very first thing one of them said to her is, well, we're at war. And I stopped it right there, and I said, hang on a second, Larry, did you catch that? And the reason I did that was because I'm trying to show the mentality. They believe they're at war. It doesn't matter. The other side gets a say. I believe that's a great statement because what they believe holds value, no matter what we think on our side. And, I come across with that because I am battled the intelligence community, trying to get them to focus on this issue, trying to get them to designate these cartels as terrorists, and they laugh at me. Oh, Jason, they'll never do that, right? We've been hearing it time and time again. They'll never evolve into this. They'll never cross that border, but yet we see countless amounts of violence, and look at the dead in the United States. In 2017, 70,000 Americans overdosed. 2018, 68,000, and now the numbers just came out last week from the CDC, which I don't know if you've seen yet or not. They're pretty damning. I mean, you're talking about 71,000 Americans in 2019 overdosed. And this cartel, according to Project Python, Udom Dillon, who was the former DEA administrator, he said in that briefing that this one cartel was operating over 100 meth labs across the nation of Mexico. You can check that out at the briefing that he gave.
During the course of this 6-month operation, DEA has arrested over 700 subjects associated with CJNG.
That was Project Python. You can look it up, but data matters to me. I'm a data guy. Yeah. And, the folks are probably saying this doesn't affect us, and it does.
Yeah, it affects you. The problem is you're not being told that it affects you. The message to the American public is not, we have a problem in Mexico, and we have to address the problem. That's not the message that's given out. Now, is that true? That's a show for you and me, probably a real future date. But I have to tell you, pictures are worth 1,000 words. It's an old saying. When you look at this video of where this group, let's just focus in on this group, where this group is heading, when they can blatantly assemble, plan, they have to plan, assemble, film, disperse, and then put all this stuff away with impunity. Yeah. Jaeson, the fact that this, as Mexico called it, this stunt was taking place, is it, in your article you asked me, is this a show pony? Yes. It's also a message to their rivals. It's a message to the Mexican government, and it's the greatest recruiting tool. You and I know these guys. How hyped do you think the guys in this video think they are now? These guys are superstars. They're rock stars for being in this video. That's why they're acting so goofy. And acting goofy doesn't mean you're not a committed killer. They're acting goofy because they love where they are. They're emboldened. They're confident. And this little unit that we see right here, Where are they going? What's their next move?
You know, I'll tell you what's interesting. I first saw this unit. This is known as the Elite Group, and you remember last year there was a cell of them. I called them the White Walkers.
Yep.
You know, it was very clear that this crew and whoever's training them, you know, they've got their shit together. They just do.
Yeah, they do.
And they've taken
They've
it
got
to.
help.
They do.
That's a critical thing.
And let's do that. Let's talk about where is that help coming from? Now, you know, it's out there in open source, so we can say the FARC now, finally,
Yes.
which is a designated foreign terrorist organization under the United States Department or State Department.
Jason, you know, without me getting the black Suburbans pulled up at my house and taking me away, let me phrase it to you this way. You got $50 billion. You're a $50 billion industry. Is there anybody out there that you can't afford to hire to make you better? Is there anybody you can't afford to buy to turn the other way, both in Mexico and 50 other countries across the world? The capabilities of CJNG are almost limitless now. If they're worth $50 billion, if I got to go down and buy the top 5 close arms assault trainers in FARC, I can do it. If I've got to reach out to Hezbollah, who's cash strapped right now beyond belief, and say, you've got skills that I need to know. When you and I are watching car bombs a couple of years ago, and we kept going, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Where did that skill set walk in from? When you've got $50 billion, you take something like that, and what's that, Jason, what's the boss of that? What's the next thing he wants to do? Make it better. Make it bigger. When they lay siege to well, not CJNG, but Sinaloa, the big fight in a city of 800,
in November. Right.
Culiacan scared the hell out of you and me, because it was the first real indicator that one, AMLO has no gumption to take these guys on, and then we knew the world would go out. Hey, look, if you get cornered by the federales, stand up to them, shoot at them. Well, that team's designed to fight their rivals, and that team's designed to fight Sedina. Didn't Sedina just get ambushed like a week or so ago somewhere?
Routinely all over the country.
Okay, so that's on the offense. Yeah. It's not, hey, guard the shipment as we move, guard the boss as he moves. This is, the hell with them. Take that ground and hold it.
How do we change that messaging? I've gotten so frustrated. You know, been all over the country. I have spoke from the Defense Intelligence Agency's headquarters building over to some others that we won't talk about, and talked to analysts who brief the secretary themselves, trying to get them to focus on this. Northcom is not paying attention. What is it going to take? I mean, are they waiting for the big event? Why in the world can we not get them to do what we all know at this point needs to be done? And I'm all about working, collaborating directly with the Mexican government, as you know, but I also know that the tools of national power have to be brought to bear, because there's nothing that the Department of Justice, along with Texas and what we've done, and you know that background very well, spending $2.2 billion on border security. Right. What does it take at this point to wake up the State Department to do what needs to be done? Because I don't believe that it should have to come from the top down. I believe that that's the point of the intelligence community, to make sure that the commander-in-chief and the leadership of these generals are ahead of the game. We see nothing out of Northcom, and yet we have weekly gun battles at our border, both in Sonora and both in the state of Tamaulipas, in the cities of Miguel-Alemán, like we just had 2 days ago.
And Jason, we know the guys that are losing are coming across the river to hide, because their assumption is those that are trying to kill them won't come across. That's going to change. And you know the book I'm writing right now, this War of the Americas, it's coming. It is coming to where these safe houses on our side of the river, where not only does the dope go and the money go, but the bosses and their families go to get away from a unit like the one in this video. It's only a matter of time before someone gets enough gumption to go get that safe house in El Paso or Del Rio or Brownsville. Yeah. We're at a crossroads. We truly are, as a country, as a crossroads. We can ignore the decay of what's taking place in Mexico and AMLO's hallucinogenic attitude towards these guys. We can ignore it. We can attempt to try and help Mexico solve it, which you and I both know we have, and we also know that the intelligence community there is so terribly compromised. Again, when you're talking an industry globally that's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, you can buy anybody you want. If their intelligence is compromised, if they're not capable of dealing with this growing threat, then we have a choice as a country. Either we deal with it or we stop the ability of these guys to come after us.
Yeah, and
We got to do one or the other.
I-
We either stop it or we ignore it, and that's the only choices we're going to have.
I'm with you, and everything, as you know, for me, is about providing solutions. And there is nothing that the Department of Justice, state of Texas, and others haven't done and thrown at this capability to stop it. And it just continues to grow, not only throughout Mexico, but globally. And such bad information is being pushed out routinely about where these cartels are and where they're really going. And for me, I've been extremely frustrated. How could we give over as a country 3.1 billion to Mexico through the Iridia initiative and the State Department?
Yeah.
And then what a waste of money. What do the American people have to show for it? And look, I want the State Department to be successful, but we have to be honest. They've not been. And they've not been on this issue, and yet they still refuse to designate these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And I know we're out of time, but I'm just a big believer on solutions. And what are we going to do? We've got to do things differently. We have to.
It's a great follow-on. You and I need to do an episode real soon about FTOs. It has to happen. If we don't go the FTO route, then the repercussions that will be 100 times worse than if we just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I think it's time. Colonel, it's great to see you.